Okay, my friends, welcome. Um, we'll get started with our meditation. As usual, I'm going to set a timer for 7 minutes. I think 7 minutes is a good amount of time to get started. We've got to set it on my app. And today we'll talk a little bit about joy. So I think I've noticed that some of y'all have been posting joyous uh, experiences on the internet. So um, uh, it's an interesting part of the practice. We're still talking about joy, joyful effort from Norman Fisher's inspiration. So I think it's going to be a very good way of us continuing our practice because Norman talks about it, and and he basically makes it very clear that without joyful effort, the whole of practice kind of can crumble apart. So you got to have some joy in there. No, it's just, he says, just as there's no movement without wind, so nothing happens in our practice without joyful effort. So we'll do that. We'll practice a little bit joyful effort today. But we'll begin with the normal way that we begin by meditating a little bit and just centering ourselves, getting grounded in the space that we're in. It's always important to just show up, just be where you are to start. I'm going to turn on this bell. I know that some of you are at work, so just keep doing your work mindfully. So see if you can keep track of your breath, or if you're on a task, then you can keep track of that task. If you ever feel like you're overwhelmed, then you can return your attention back to the task at hand, or you can return your attention to your breath. That'll be a great way for you to be able to do this. I'm going to walk us through this practice as well. Listening to the sounds in your space. If your eyes are open, just taking in the light. Maybe you can kind of expand your sight line and take in the different colors of your space, shapes. And if your eyes are closed, then just take in the light. If you can smell anything, and taste, and feeling your body. If you're standing, feel your feet. If you're sitting, feel your seat. And if there are any thoughts, not if, when there are thoughts that come into your consciousness, notice what they are, but don't get stuck in them. In the same way that you notice the sound or the taste or the smell and let it move through the same way. Back to the breath. Your attention will wander. That's how it does it. You can use any one of your senses to come back to this moment. You might feel that your body at some point tightens down, your mind constricts. Take a breath, release the breath. See if you can allow yourself the flexibility, the openness to relax, take joy, gratitude for this moment we're spending together. Allowing your breath to lengthen, to slow. Take a deep breath or two. I think it's so important to put a smile on your face. And some even have the tradition of bowing, of doing a little, uh, it's very slight, but it's a little bow. You might try it. You put your hands together and do a little forward motion. And the idea of that is that you're bowing to the moment. It's almost like the divine, whatever you want to call it. It's saying, thank you for however that went, whether I liked it or not, whether it was what I thought it would be, whether it's ideal or not. And a lot of times it is really. I mean, in my practice, most of the time it's really quite pleasant, but not every time. And uh, whether I like it or not, there's an opportunity there to be grateful. So I think that's the lesson of the little bow, the smile, the pleasant breath at the end that we can do for ourselves, and we do it. And it's good to be in the company of community as well to be able to do that. Okay. So today we're going to talk about joy. I'm going to pull up my notes here. So I think it's interesting to get into this concept because it's not a concept that we haven't heard before. Many of us have been thinking about this for a while. It's not new necessarily. It's just that this is a concept that comes up over and over and it never gets old. It's like one of the fundamentals of practice is joy. How do we bring joy to our practice, to our lives? And I'm inspired by Norman Fisher in the talk that I posted online and that I've been really trying to dive a little deeper into, which is this practice of joyful effort. It's one of the pillars of the practice because he says that basically your joyful effort, your joy is kind of like the wind in your sails. It's the deciding factor of how your practice will move. And it's foundational, I think, because if we don't have the joy in the practice, then our practice doesn't look very positive, and we don't feel good, and we're not going to want to keep doing it, and we become crabby, and we become um and over time we'll burn out in the practice. And so it's important to also be doing this joy thing like all the time. It doesn't ever get old. So I think that what I want to do today is talk about that. I want to talk about ways to cultivate that. And I want to also point out some ways in which the Jewish practice is really demanding this of us. It's almost not maybe demanding is too strong of a word, but I think that it's inviting us into the possibility of being able to access this joy over and over on a regular basis, on a daily basis, on an hourly basis. And when we start to take those practices seriously, when we start to utilize those practices, which we can do, and I think that I'm going to invite us into doing, then it does change the tone of our lives. It actually changes not just the practice itself, not just the meditation itself. It's like, or the practices that we'll talk about. It actually changes how your life trajectory starts to be. Actually makes real changes in your life. Okay. So it's interesting. I want to just call this out because I like the image of it. But Norman says that joyful effort is like an elephant on a hot day entering a cool pond. First of all, I love that there's an elephant in the story here because elephants are amazing. They're majestic creatures. But I also love the idea of this big animal, which in some way is like our lives. In some way, I don't know. It's like this kind of wild creature that gets into this on a hot day. And I know we're getting into the October days now, but we remember what it's like to be hot and to get into a cool pond. And it's almost like the feeling of being satisfied, of being refreshed by practice is what our joyful effort can look like. And that's the invitation. We're trying to work in a way that will make us feel like practice every day and as much as we can in every moment is actually refreshing. Is that it's almost like when I can catch my breath, when I can be in this moment with the breath that I have, I can feel like, ah, ah, oh, what a, what is like a relief. It's almost like when I'm not practicing, I can feel a tightness that when our brain constricts, when our mind, our heart, our like the attention kind of narrows down, it's almost like ah, pressure, hot. And then when we can actually just remember, oh yeah, wait a second, I can breathe right now. There's not too much crazy. Like, yeah, okay, maybe I'm thinking about something in the future, or maybe I'm thinking about something in the past. But actually, right now, as it is pretty good. I'm in a beautiful place. The air is the good temperature. I have clean water to drink, and life is good. Actually, right now, it actually is good. Am I stuck in those patterns? Yes, but I feel good. So I want to talk about the practices that we can do. So one of them, I think this is something that, you know, I don't know what it is, but I need reminding all the time. Why I need it, I don't know. But you'd think that we would all just get it. But it's like, okay, so the morning, what is the Jewish tradition asking us to do in the morning? And interestingly enough, the Risho Kosekai, who I've been training with in out of Japan, what did they ask me to do? Both of those traditions ask me to do first thing in the morning and last thing before I go to bed. Moda'ani. Moda'ani. Uh, uh, it's saying I am grateful. I understand that this world is actually really good in this way. So moda'ani, this phrase that we use in the morning. That's supposedly to be our first phrase of the morning. And it's to say, I'm grateful. I wake up in the morning, and before I even get out of bed, before I do anything with my day, I collect reasons why I'm grateful for today. And it sounds cheesy. I mean, it's almost like, oh, that's so cheesy. I don't know. But it's not. It's not cheesy at all. It's a practice that if you get in the habit of doing, what you'll notice is that uh, the morning prayers are not just modani. They're thank you for my being able to walk. Thank you for being able to see. Thank you that the way of the world is such that the rooster crows in the morning, even though if you know a real rooster, you know they crow all day and night. Thank you for allowing me the wisdom to notice the difference between day and night. Thank you for giving me the clothes on my back. Thank you for giving me the roof over my head. And the interesting thing about the practice and the way that I was instructed it's not just like it it's not to say, okay, let me tell you about my bank account, or let me tell you about the things in my life that are great. It's like, yeah, okay, those are great things, but there's also basics like I have clean air to breathe. Basic clean air. I have water that's clean. I have plumbing that works in the house that brings me this water from a clean source. It's basics. It's the fact that I can see. It's the fact that I can hear. And going through, you can even go through it. The Magid of Mezrich we've talked about gives this beginning practice for the morning, which is, and if you want to hear it, you can check it out on the podcast on iTunes. That I did a kind of guided version of this for you to go through step by step with every one of your senses. But he would say, go through each one of your senses, just like we do in the beginning of our practice. And while you're in bed, give gratitude for each one of your senses that's working. Basics. It's not talking about like the filet mignon. This is not like high level stuff. This is, I mean, you know, I say high level, but it's like the highest level stuff is the basic stuff. It's like without these healthy qualities, without being healthy, there's nothing else. Nothing else can build if you're not healthy. And we know this. We know that this is true. So in the morning, there's an invitation to say, thank you. Thank you. And to go through every day, and it can be the same things every day, but to go through every day and give yourself the chance to boot up your system by feeling grateful, to say, these are 5 things I'm grateful today, or 10 things that I'm grateful for today, or whatever, right? But get started every single day, or one, to start with one. Every day, find one thing you're grateful for right in the beginning of the day. And what we know is that this actually changes the way that we start looking into the world. It's like if I told you to find everything green in your space. I know some of you have flowers in your area, or if you don't have flowers, you can probably look out and see something green in your environment. You'd find the green things. And if I told you to close your eyes and without opening your eyes, mention something blue to me, it's in your consciousness, right? It might be harder for you to figure out what those blue things are because you've spent so much attention on the green. And it's the same way. Our consciousness is the same. It's like what you look for is what you'll find. What you look for is what you'll find. So it's almost like you get to decide every morning, but not just every morning, every moment, what am I going to look for? Am I going to look for the good, the gratitude, the things that I enjoy, the parts of life that are good? I might get some bad news. Things might be frustrating. And I have an opportunity, doesn't matter what's going on, to say, you know, I'm going to find the gratitude thread here. I'm going to find the things I'm grateful for. And that's where I'm going to focus my energy. It's an invitation, not just for prayer in the morning or blessings or whatever it is. It's an invitation to find a life, to determine in your life, I would like to be more grateful. I would like to be looking for the good. And I think that's the idea. That's the underpinning of prayer. Generally, I think that that's the point of prayer, is to say, and the rabbis agree. If I just find one thing every day that I am grateful for, and I say thank you, that's prayer. That's enough. That's you've done what prayer is supposed to accomplish, which is to say, it's almost a humility. It's a humility in that you understand, I didn't do this. It's not that I did this for myself. It's like it's almost implicit in there. There's almost like a sense of, I couldn't have done that for myself. I didn't create my vision. I didn't create the clean air. It's like way beyond me. The clean water, basic basics. And this prayer, it's prayerful when you decide to give great your gratitude, not just for to, like, I don't know, the, I guess you could call it whatever you want to call it, to the universe, to God, to Jesus or Allah or whatever you're praying to, in order to say, thank you. Look at that. Wow. I didn't do that. I couldn't have done that. This world is so immense. My body is incredible. It works. Wow. And you have the chance. And it's not so easy all the time. It's not always so easy to do that, but it is a choice. And we can continue to choose over and over and over and over again the path of gratitude. The We've talked about this before, but I think it's so incredible. What an incredible invitation of the practice is to say, what if I challenge myself in every day to find 100 reasons that I'm grateful, to find 100 blessings in my day, and say thank you. Thank you for the flowers. Thank you for the scent of the flowers. Thank you for my ability to see. And in every single day, if I found 100 things, can you imagine what I mean? Just this is the invitation that I'm going to give us for practice for this next week or two until we meet again, which is how can we challenge ourselves? And some of you may want find that it's important to find a kind of a logbook, and really make a check mark every time you find something you're grateful for, and do that in every day. Others of you are just going to do it. Others, maybe you set an alarm for yourself in the morning or a reminder that says, let's do 5 gratitudes today. Then I encourage you to find somebody in your surroundings that you might be able to do this with. Now, don't choose somebody who's the kind of person who's like pushes back against your practice. Don't do that. Don't put yourself in a position and to find somebody who's not going to cooperate and make it a source of frustration, or who's going to think it's a cheesy thing to do. Find somebody who you think might actually be aligned with you in this practice, and wants that kind of life for themselves. They actually decide. It's almost like find somebody who's already bought in. Don't look for somebody who's you might have to convince. I think that's generally an important practice, is when people are ready, when they've decided that they want to be happy, that they want to have a good life, that they want to be grateful, they're going to do it, right? And when they've decided they don't, or they're not ready for that yet, they won't. It's just that's how people are. Yeah, okay, there's exceptions to that, but for the most part, I'm not in the business of trying to convince people of anything really. Uh, uh, by and large, the people in this group are people who already decided they wanted to live a life that was beyond what they were living, and they want to cultivate this kind of attention. I didn't go out and convince you that this is a good thing to do. You knew you wanted it, and somehow we found each other and we connected. So that's it. It's an important part of this practice is also find people who are already aligned. Oh gosh, my battery is dying quickly. So what are we going to do? My computer is telling me the battery is going to die soon. I think what we're going to do is we're going to switch off the camera and we're going to plug in the power. Please, with your con permiso. Otherwise, we're going to not have me here in a minute. So give me 1 second, please. It just means that the quality of the image will be not as sharp, and it'll be kind of facing upward. Okay. We did it. So, okay, now we know that my computer battery will not support the full tech load all at once without being plugged in. Okay, so we're plugged in, and is audio okay still? Can we give me a little bit of feedback? Give me a hands raise. If you can hear me, you should be able to, because I see that the levels are okay. Looks like it. I'll go with yes. If you get, yeah, but give me, just bug me if you in the chat if you for some reason can't hear me. Okay, so now you're looking up at the ceiling, which is something, and you can see my jujitsu shirt. So okay, so this joy thing, this gratitude, look, amazing technology, and it warned me instead of just shutting off. So could have just shut off in the middle of our talk. So we have these morning prayers and this opportunity to give gratitude every morning. And we also have the 100 blessings, which we could do every day. We can actually set that as a goal. I wouldn't start with 100. I would start with something smaller and then build up to it. I think it's important. It's like this life is so short. And those of us who are, you know, I mean, we all know this, that it passes so quickly. And if we're not enjoying it, if it's like what's going on here, like what do I don't think we're here to suffer. I don't think we're here to have a hard time. I think the point of this life is to find ways to enjoy it and to live it fully. So not only can we do things that uh, find the ways, purposefully find the ways that we're grateful. I think it's also important for us to like make a decision generally to say I am, I want to be, or I am a grateful person. I am a person who will find the good in everything. And that's almost like a certain kind of faith statement, I think. It's almost a decision that I'm going to find the ways that that I can be grateful in life, no matter the circumstance. It doesn't matter what's happening, I'm going to find the way to be grateful. It's like you get a choice. You do get a choice. And I think that's where the Bible starts with this: choose the good. Choose the good. Yeah, for sure. There's gonna be things that happen that are challenging in life. There are gonna be people who don't treat us the way we think we might need to be treated. But we have a choice. It's like, do I want to see the good in them? Do I want to be able to say, look, that person, maybe they didn't treat me the way I wish? Because it always ends up back in the interpersonal, right? It's like those are the times when we really start to feel really offended and things are difficult. It's like they said this or something happened, right? Or we lose somebody important to us, and it's like we have this opportunity to say, and how grateful am I that I had that opportunity to be with them? How grateful am I that I'm healthy? How grateful am I that I figured out that this person is not necessarily doesn't necessarily have my best interest at heart? How grateful am I that my computer actually notified me that the computer was going to die without me just and I was aware enough to be able to catch it before the we lost the camera. Right? How grateful am I that there's another camera that I can use? It might not be the highest quality that I have, but it's good enough. So, right, it gets the job done. So I have an opportunity to find that good, and it's almost a faith in goodness. It's almost like saying, it's almost to say, I doesn't matter what I know, or I know I'm going to be able to find the goodness thread. I'm going to be able to find a thread of goodness. Doesn't matter what, I'll be able to find it. I've just decided that as a matter of my posture of who I'm going to be, who I want to be in this world, how I want to cultivate my consciousness, that I'm going to find the good. I know there's going to be good. And in that way, we prime ourselves. We can create the conditions for our lives to be good because we decide it'll be good. We look for the good. We find the good. We're always seeking the good. Now, this is one piece of this that I think Norman puts a little twist on. think is important for us to at least talk about for a moment before we launch into our gratitude practice. And we'll spend some time just cultivating gratitude, though I will also encourage you to practice gratitude outside of the context of our time together. In the meantime, find ways to cultivate gratitude in the meantime. Norman talks about this, and I think I'm still playing with the idea, but I think it is actually very important. He says that uh, there's a certain way in which we can get in our own we can get in our own way by deciding I don't deserve that. It's like or for whatever reason we decide that we we're special somehow, so special that that joy is not accessible to us, and that we almost don't feel worthy of goodness when worthiness is like inherent in how we are. This is what he talks about, that he uses this concept of like, even the Buddha talks about, even the fleas and the ticks will or the fly, the horse fly or whatever it is, right? Even these infinitesimal creatures have the opportunity to have enlightenment, to have this opportunity to be uplifted in their life, to be open to the grandeur of this universe and to live in the stream of life. That's how I'm defining enlightened. And what kind of a consciousness would it take for us to think that that thing could have peace and joy and contentment, but not me? So he says, you gotta find the worthiness. You've got to find the on a fundamental level. If you don't think you deserve joy, if you don't think you deserve this ability to enjoy your life, that you're worthy of that you don't feel worthy, then it's almost a hubris. He says it's like it's a sense of it's a kind of a narcissism. It's to think everybody else can do it, but not me. And in this case, he's saying, don't do that. Don't do that. You are worth it. And don't try to set yourself aside of this one life, this one planet, this one universe. It has goodness in it. You deserve it. Just like everybody else does. Just like every other thing does. So don't get stuck in that trap. And he boils that down to a feeling of worth, of self-worth, that I deserve to have goodness. You deserve to have goodness. Every person has the right. It's a birthright. It's like you, just by the fact that you exist, it's there for you. Now, you may have to cultivate it. You may have to practice it. It's a decision to make, but it's there. It's there for you, and it's there for every other person. So we'll cultivate the gratitude because that brings joy. Gratitude, when you feel grateful, when you feel excited about the possibilities, when you feel like, look how great this life already is, then it makes us want more, and good begets good. So I'll invite us to do this. We'll practice together our gratitude. We'll practice for 18 minutes together, and then we'll have some time. If you have questions, you can always put them into the Q&A area, or just email me directly. So let's practice. We'll use our breath generally, but I think we'll try to find ways, that things that we're grateful for. I'll make some suggestions, and if you have your own, I'll be happy for you to share them at the end. Here comes the bell. before we even jump totally in, take a few nice breaths. Settle yourself. At every step, gratitude. Wow. It's so nice to be able to breathe. And hearing again the sounds and gratitude for the fact that we can hear the sounds. If your eyes are open or closed, sensing the light, giving gratitude, sense by sense. Sense of smell, sense of taste, gratitude that food tastes good. And feeling our body. Oh, look at this amazing body. It does so many things without me even asking it to do it. My skin, keeping things out that should remain out, and things in that need to stay in. The cells of my body giving me energy, repairing. On shifting my attention to my breath. Even for a moment. Gratitude again for my breath. Maybe you have thoughts that come in that are future oriented, planning oriented. Ah, thanks for reminding me. I'll get to you later. You'll be there when I need you. Probably you're in a space that is safe. You can feel grateful. Probably you have clothing that keeps you warm enough, cool enough. You can feel grateful. You're breathing air that's sufficiently saturated with oxygen to support your life. You have eaten food today, or you will. You've ingested liquids. Probably most of them are based in water. That's pure enough for you to drink without getting sick. Your bills are sufficiently paid that you have the electricity to be on this call. And so are mine. You can hear. For many of us with our eyes closed, you can hear the instructions, the opportunities for gratitude. You're alive. To witness this moment. And you've made a choice to find the good. Even through the discomforts, the difficulties, the narrowings of our minds, of our circumstance. confident that life will give us good, that we will be able to find the good. We have a community of people who love each other. None of us are alone in our practice. Of cultivating peace and joy in our lives. We can be grateful for our own efforts, our own decision to lift ourselves up, to find help in lifting ourselves up. To lift one another up. What a wonderful life. You can almost feel the sense of refreshing joy. Just like the Buddha says, of an elephant on a hot day entering a cool pond. You can feel the gratitude, giving you a sense of that relief. The practice that we're doing, if you pay attention, you notice how good it feels. To be grateful. And you can feel that in your body. It's kind of a tingling feeling all over. You can feel it in your mind. The way that your attention has changed. Kinder, softer, more open, trusting, faithful that I'll find more good. There's plenty of good. There's always good to be found. I can choose the good. I can surround myself with people who are also choosing the good. I can be of service to those who are looking for good and help them find it too. So, for the next few minutes, I invite you to find the good. So, taking a deep breath or two and smiling and bowing. Of gratitude for the practice, for those who have taught us to practice. I'm grateful for my teachers. I'm grateful for the people in my life. I'm grateful for our community who inspires me to practice as well and gives me the opportunity to give of myself, to guide. Thank you, everybody. If you want, we can stick around for a minute or two, sharing what we're grateful for. I'll read those things out if you uh, if you share those in the chat. I see one from Emmy. Thank you for inviting us to think about the good. And I invite you to practice finding the good from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. You might start by using those beginning and end times of the day to really cultivate that and find a partner. Find somebody who you can share those with. You can start with me if you'd like. You can send those to me on a regular basis. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in a few weeks.